What we did is we went into, of course, the fashionability is hygiene. You cannot, to me, Agile is the only route to do the sale. So you have to wire the right attributes into the software, then only you get the right one. Kids was underserved by everybody.
So, hi everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode of BlueBytes, our monthly podcast from BlueKaktus. First and foremost, we would like to thank all of you for the amazing responses that we've been getting. I get a lot of you calling me, writing to me, and even commenting on some of these podcasts, and that is a lot of encouragement that we get, and that keeps us going. So, thank you so much for that. Our guest today brings a wealth of experience to the table. As a seasoned leader, he has successfully steered multiple retail brands to success. With a background from XLRI Jamshedpur and IIT Madras, he currently serves as a business advisor and a strategic coach mentor. His passion lies in empowering founder CEOs to achieve their company missions through authentic leadership, motivating teams to work cohesively towards common goals. From spearheading Max fashion's journey to profitability and reshaping lifestyle's format for sustained success to elevating Peter England as a top selling apparel brand, his career has been marked by transformative leadership and impactful achievements. If you have not already guessed, our esteemed guest today is Mr. Vasanth Kumar. So, welcome, Vasanth. Thank you for coming to Blue Bites and pleasure to have you here. I just want to start this podcast with a very simple question. I've seen your career, and of course, I've known you for many years. But you worked in white goods, then you went to FMCG, and then you were in fashion retail. In fact, you were in brands and then in retail. So, would you like to take us a little bit through that phase of your career and how? And you were there right at the beginning when organized retail was just happening. Right. And so how have you seen this whole industry evolve and what are your thoughts? And, if you could just share a little bit of that with us.
First, I wish to congratulate you, Anindya, on this excellent initiative, BlueBytes, because not many podcasts I have seen which is so focused on retail, fashion retail, and talking to people who have been part of this India growth story. So it's quite interesting. I'm happy to participate in the next episode.
Thank you
Coming
so much.
to my journey, when I started my journey, it was in FMCG and durables in early 90s. That's when the whole India reform happened.
Yes.
FMCG gave me a good grounding on how diverse the markets are between north, south, east, west, or between a metro, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. In FMCG, we go up to tier 4, 5, up to the taluk level, village level. So, and tastes, purchase behavior, consumption pattern, lots of variations are there. So, that gave me a good grounding. And a company like Hindustan Lever makes sure that you get the grounding right. That is when the apparel retail was just blossoming. Till then, it was a fabric market. Everybody would have remembered this Only Vimal campaign or the Raymond Man campaign. So it was all fabrics when I started my career. It shifted slowly to the apparel segment. And the same companies which were doing fabrics naturally extended themselves into the apparel.
Yes.
So you have this Arvind with their Arrow, Raymond with their Park Avenues, and I joined Madura Fabrics into Madura Garments. Initially, I headed the brand called Van Heusen as the brand director. So that time, organized retail started, branded apparel started, and slowly the customers who were used to stitched garments, stitched shirts and trousers, first shirts got converted into ready-made.
Yes.
That's an easier product for ready-made.
And this would be early 90s, right?
Early 90s. In fact, late 80s, I should say.
Okay.
88, 89. I joined the industry early 90s.
In fact, I remember buying my first Van Heusen shirt in late 1980s only.
Yes.
Correct, you're right.
89. Yeah, that was the first corporate shirt brand to be launched in India. So that's how the journey began. I was fortunate to be part of that beginning of the branded apparel era, I should say. Customers started liking branded apparel, and slowly showrooms started developing. Those days you don't have big malls, so one has to rely on high street stores, and there are constraints in that many high street availability in India. So the large portion of sales happened in multi-brand outlets.
Correct.
So it's a mix of both. So the first evolution actually is premium branded apparel. You have all these brands, Louis Philippe, all these brands started. Then by late 90s, it gave way to mid-price segment, which is the value retail. I was again fortunate to be asked to lead Peter England as a part of the startup team.
Such a big,
Yes.
such a big thing in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. So what we did at the time is we took the principles of FMCG
Okay.
and applied to branded apparel. Because in a mass segment, you need distribution. At the same time, apparel needs certain exclusivity in presentation. So the blend was made, and mass communication was also resorted to. In Peter England, people would have still remembered the campaign, Honest Shirt campaign. It was done through the mass media channels like Star TV.
I think it's one of the longest lasting
Yes,
campaigns,
yes,
and
yes.
people still remember
Yes,
it as
yeah,
the honest
yeah.
shirt.
So that built the brand. But we ensured that the apparel aesthetics like visual merchandising, shop in shop, product quality, the freshness, newness, all are built into the brand. You cannot expect one range of shirts launched like a FMCG and expect them to buy even after a year. Every 2-3 months you need to keep changing, and that's what we did. So that is the era of branded apparel from premium to mid price. By early 2000, you keep seeing malls coming up.
Yes, I
The
think
Great India Place, GIP, Noida is one of the pioneers. Then Ansel Plaza
yes.
in Delhi. So slowly malls started coming up. That is a time where department stores also got launched. You had Shoppers Stop,
True.
who led the whole branded department store
Correct.
venture
I'm
first.
just trying to remember when Shoppers
Yeah.
Stop would have been late 90s.
Late
right?
90s.
Correct. Yes.
Late 90s it started.
Yes.
And soon Lifestyle, the company where I worked for, also joined. Between Lifestyle and Shoppers Stop, they led the department store revolution in India. That time also malls were still far and few. So both Shoppers Stop and Lifestyle expanded through high street properties.
So what we
Yes.
used to call the big box.
Big box. Take position in big box. If you see even now, even after 20 years plus, they are still doing very well in those big boxes. Standalone big boxes. Mostly they sold premium brands.
Yes.
Assortment of premium brand, and also inside each department store concept, they had private label, which is for value. So that is the mix they had.
Correct.
So again, department store was a new thing in India, and these two brands took the lead and grew. And similar time frame, you had Pantaloon also, which was launched
True. Yes.
alongside. It was earlier a big box, and slowly they pivoted it to a branded medium size
Store.
retail store.
Yes.
So these were the pioneers. Alongside the premium segment, there was a value segment also that got launched in India, pioneered by Big Bazaar. They launched
Yes.
their Big Bazaar range of apparel at a affordable rate.
True.
Yes. So you had a premium segment, which is the department store. I'm talking about retail. Premium department store retail by Shoppers Stop, Lifestyle, and Pantaloon, and you have value apparel through Big Bazaar. Soon followed by D-Mart, and you had also local regional players like V-Mart. Lots of regional players are also there. So this is how the retail evolved. So from branded apparel, it evolved to retail. It doesn't mean branded apparel slowed down. It kept growing. Retail concepts also kept growing because unorganized market was still more than 90% at the time.
Yeah.
So there is a huge market where people converted from unorganized to organized.
And at this time, at the edges of the organized business, still people were converting into wearing ready-mades. Right?
Yes. By then, the shirt penetration, branded shirt penetration increased. More than half the customers started buying branded apparel, either premium or value. So that's how it is. Similar trend happened in ethnic also. Till the early 90s, women's ethnic is predominantly stitched, ready to stitch and stitched. As and when this retail happened in men's branded apparel, even the women's ethnic also shifted to ready-made ethnic.
Correct.
So we had brands introduced at that time, very soon followed by W and all. And there were about 3-4 brands who pioneered in the ethnic wear.
It was was it first led more by the department stores with their labels and then the brands started expressing themselves?
I should say parallelly, because the department stores need brands.
Correct.
So you need that B-Bar, W.
Labels, yes.
B-Bar is one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
And they sold well in department stores also. I can say both went in tandem. Branded ethnic wear and retail large format department store both happened parallelly and both fed into each other. And parallelly, malls also started growing very well. The early 2000 and onwards, I should say 2 decades of mall era, where across the country, large number of large malls started happening in India. The moment mall trend happened, then it's opportunity for organized retail to grow because they were suffering from lack of quality retail space. And retail space in high street, far and few and exorbitant price. You see all those high street in Bombay, or even any Connaught Place in Delhi, Brigade Road in Bangalore, Begumpet, Hyderabad, all of them are limited supply, so the prices were high. Warden Road in Bombay, Colaba. So when the mall started, it's a good opportunity for all the organized players, both branded apparel players and the department stores, to start expanding into it because straight away it gave space.
Correct, absolutely.
That is when I had...
It also gave some kind of guaranteed walk-ins.
Walk-ins, because customers are guaranteed in a mall.
Yeah.
Then you need to get the other piece. One piece taken care of, which means promotion and customers. You need to ensure the rest of it falls in place.
Much easier actually.
Correct. That is when I had an opportunity to lead a mono-brand value fashion brand called Max Fashion. At the time I was in Peter, England, and Landmark Group picked me up to lead this Max Fashion concept.
And that went on to become one of the biggest and I think fastest growing.
Yes, it was.
Still is probably one of the leading brands in that.
Yes. So what happened is when department stores were promoting premium brands and value apparel being sold in Big Bazaar DMart format, there was an opportunity to do a mid-price value fashion segment, which was vacant at the time. And while department stores were having 30, 40, 50,000 square feet, and hypermarket, they were again big box, but apparel is small. You had an opportunity to launch a 15,000 square feet format, only focusing on the mid-price value fashion for the family. So that was well capitalized by the Landmark Group. And I was fortunate to lead that from day one as the first employee. We launched Max Fashion.
You were the first employee?
Yes. So I still remember the days where you took a 2 BHK apartment and started the whole exercise. And presenting this whole concept to the developers only on paper, saying this is what we want to do. But of course, Landmark has a pedigree in making any format successful in any market. So that also helped the developers to lay confidence, even though they have not seen any single store in India. So
it's a really big thing to actually be able to do it. I remember going to the Landmark stores when the first launch. Please, this is very interesting.
So that opened up the market because here is an opportunity where customers can shop in a large format relatively. 15,000 square feet is fairly large in those days.
Absolutely.
With only one brand called Max. And in that, they can shop for the entire family. Men, women, children kids' accessories, everything under one roof. There again, what we did a brainstorming, we did some market visits and found that within the departments, which is men, women, kids, and accessories, kids was underserved by everybody. Both branded also very poor distribution of quality branded kids apparel. Department stores were busy focusing on men's and women's. So the kids runway was left unattended. So what we did when we launched, we put kidswear as the face and launched it upfront as a family brand, showing the kids upfront.
This is very interesting.
Yes.
Still, my wife still buys
Yes.
kids
Yes.
clothing. If to gift anyone anything,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
right there.
Because in those days, the perception
We're
was
so used to going there and shopping. Yeah.
in those days the perception was that a fashion brand cannot promote family. Family and fashion don't go together. We changed the whole thing. We said family is fashionable, and there are enough celebrities, Bollywood celebrities or Hollywood celebrities. They take their kids to all important events. They even when they're holidaying, they are shown along with their kids, and they look fashionable. So we promoted a theme called "Family is Fashionable."
Okay.
So that's a complete different take. And we also showed the kids in very fashionable clothes along with their moms and dads. Of course, they are also looking fashionable.
You're right. It was kind of revolutionary for
Yes,
that time.
yes.
Yes.
Second thing we did is we don't want the customer to mistake us for a discount brand. So what we said, normally in value, the promotion idea is 99 onwards
Yes.
to convert value. We again reversed the whole thing. We said fashion under 599.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saying that if you want cheap clothes, don't come to us.
Yeah.
At the same time, telling the customer
There is
599 is what we are. So we are affordable, not cheap. So we did that kind of marketing positioning with kids being upfront. So it took off day one. And we went to a mall and we deliberately took space which are not a ground floor, because we know that ground floor fetches premium. And if we are a value player, we cannot pay top dollar and say we are value.
I have
Okay.
2 quick questions for you,
Yes.
on this, since we are going through this part of. One is, at that time, if I remember, there were a lot of discounters there, including Megamart, which
Yes.
I was part of
Yes,
later on.
yes.
So, question one is, why did you decide to go for value rather than the discounting logic which all other guys at that
Yeah.
time were trying to do? And the second question is, see, if we look at value fashion today, let's say trends or these, so they put different brands or labels within their.
Yes.
You walk into the store and it's divided into different labels.
Yeah.
Whereas Max very clearly kept only one brand, which is a
Yeah.
store brand.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are your thoughts on that, and why did you go with that logic rather than these two logics?
But both are sound questions, what you're asking, very fundamental questions. We deliberated on both. First, I will address this discount. Typically, the customer who looks for discount generally are price first. They want price first, or they want a brand at a sharp price. One of these two. Price first is more on the lower side of the lower spectrum of the apparel. Brand first is on the higher spectrum of the value apparel. So it's a big band. Value segment is actually 60-70% of the market.
Correct.
It's very big. So on the top, brand at a discount.
Correct.
At the bottom, they want sharp price. Now, when we position this, we said this has to be positioned on newness, not on price. What we are saying is, you come to us for newness, fashion first, then price should be a surprise. So that is how we did it. So deliberately we kept off all the discount malls. We never took stores only in those malls. Deliberately we avoided the annual sale, so that customers should not mistake us as a discount player. First 4 years, we absorbed the losses. It was very tough. Our window of sale was barely 2-3 weeks where we could not have finished the quantity also. We ended up having those stocks. Finally, we had to give it away as charity. We did not want to show a face that Max is also one of the discount brands. The moment we expose that as a discount brand, we cannot come back. Because Max is not a premium brand. Max is not a sharply priced brand like Value Apparel. We are in the middle. So we have to show that we are in the middle. It is akin to a Indigo Airlines, where we have to say that we are clean, simple, connoting newness, fashion, right price, not cheap. So this is on the discount part.
So do you also feel it helps build more trust when you don't discount?
Very correct.
Rather than, if customers are always seeing, then,
Yes.
you don't even believe what is the price am I really buying?
Very correct. So if you recollect what I told about the target segment, it's a kids wear first.
Yes.
Kids wear, who is a decision maker? It is a mom.
Yes.
And no mom will ask for discount first for a kids wear. The first question they'll ask is this product fitting my child? Is my child looking good, fashionable and trendy? That's what she looks at.
Yes.
And is the price affordable? By telling fashion under 599, that worry for the customer is removed, because the customer is not going to pay too much of a price for a kids wear, where the product has to be changed every 2-3 months because the child keeps growing. So that is the sweet spot we got. So automatically the discount part we straight away eliminated by not running after that segment and focusing on the kids wear first. Second thing, on the mono brand, our model is more like the global brands, value brands which are there, like Uniqlo or Zara. They are all in those markets value brands. Okay, we drew inspiration from them. Of course, these brands here are premium, but in those markets they are value.
Correct.
So we took those principles. These brands are all mono brands, and Target department store also has that kind of positioning. So then Primark is an outstanding example.
So not for mono brand.
Yeah, in fact, the best benchmark for value fashion abroad even today is Primark. All of them promote one brand. Of course, they may connote different ranges by some labels inside, but all communication outside says one brand. We drew inspiration from that, and also we simplified it to customer. We don't want customers to get lost on different types of brands. Then within the brand, they will have a low price, medium price, high price. Too many decision making is involved. We didn't want to do it. We said one brand for all product categories: men's, women's, children's, accessories, and one price band. 199 to 599 was our price band, and we stuck to that. For the first 5-6 years, we didn't change anything. So then the customers understood we are not cheap, we are affordable, we are connoting newness, and we have certain quality of experience in a 15,000 square feet format. There is certain experience we are delivering, and of course, quality with landmark trust. So all the package we did, and we were the brand who were the least advertised brand in the industry, but still customers came to us because of the final delivery which we were able to do.
This is very interesting. Okay.
So then what happened is that the developers also understood, and space also was given to us, because they knew that we are attracting certain type of customers who are not bargain hunters, and such customers add value to the mall, because they are all essentially white collared, middle class, young family segment led by the housewife. It's the women who are the prime shoppers for us. So that helped us to establish the brand.
Very, very interesting. Sorry, I came in the middle with a lot of questions, but and then now, of course, is the next era when these the direct D2C businesses have now come in.
See, now that whole branded apparel started, and before even B2C, the next level, earlier Big Bazaars and hypermarket used to sell value apparel, which is mostly semi-branded, and labels kept changing. So that kind of situation was there, DMart, all that. But they gave good price. There's an opportunity for launching a value apparel, which stands for quality and cheaper than Max. There was an opportunity. There again, in Landmark Group, I mentored a brand called Easy Buy, which is 30% below Max, housed inside hypermarket as shop in shop. Also has its own showroom version, and it is essentially presented to the tier 2, 3 markets. Essentially, blue collared middle class. While Max was positioned as a value fashion brand for white collared middle class in metros and tier 1, EasyBuy was positioned as a blue collared middle class brand for tier 3, 4 market and hypermarket shop in shop, where the customers are essentially, say, a bank clerk buying for himself or family. Again, focusing on the women across departments. The size is much smaller, 5,000 square feet. So this.
But it didn't cannibalize into the Max customer base.
It didn't cannibalize because the clarity was there. Max talks about newness, trendiness, fashion, white collared. The ethos, aesthetics are different. Whereas EasyBuy is very hardy. The shirts, t-shirts last, durable, and they are not fashion first, but they are, in terms of product, they are in trend. They are not out of trend. So that's a different model where we did. Even their sourcing strategy was different. It is 100% franchise. We reduced the whole channel costs.
Oh, okay.
Whereas Max is all direct stores.
Yeah.
So that contrast. And high street, tier 3, tier 4 properties are also cheaper. And franchises can also take the property. So that is the distribution happened. And that was one of the early brands. Of course, there are other new brands which then got launched. One of it recently is Zudio, which is also growing well. Again on the value category. While Max Fashion was in the value fashion, the equivalent brands which are in the space were by Trent, Westside was there, and of course Reliance Trends.
Yes.
These were there. Now the same companies have launched their next level value apparel, which is Zudio.
Actually, you were ahead of the curve in the sense that you kind of opened the market.
Yeah, we opened the market at that time, and we had a first mover advantage. We quickly launched 100 stores in that space. I'm talking about 2019, almost up to the pandemic, 1920. So that was it. And now that segment of value apparel retail brand is huge now. You have Reliance opening value apparel brand chain, the Trend Group opening through Zudio, and Madura Group, Madura also launching their value apparel. So it's a pyramid. So that value apparel retail format is now gaining a lot of traction because they get conversion from the unorganized players. So physical retail pretty much is getting stitched up with the premium brands on the top, Louis Philippe, Arrow, Park Avenue on the top. Middle is the Max Value Fashion, the Reliance Trends. Then Pantaloon also has now come into the middle segment. And West Side is upper middle. So that is there. Now value apparel with EasyBuy from Landmark, and you have Zudio from Trent and Reliance launching their value format, Madura launching their value format. So that pyramid is getting completed. Now, parallelly, e-commerce started opening up. While this was happening, the first movers of e-commerce apparel were Myntra, then followed by Flipkart and Amazon. What they did is, again, seeing the Indian customer who wants to buy apparel, but who doesn't want to go through the effort of reaching the store, trying out at the store and buying. They want to do it all at home. And internationally also that became currency. A lot of brands were launched as a digital brand. And e-commerce also needs a platform. And you have Amazon, Flipkart having a huge platform. Customers buying various products out of the platform. So apparel is a natural extension. And in fact, apparel is a significant contributor for them in terms of the margin mix. So that's how they started. And very soon, e-commerce shopping became very normal for the customer. It doesn't mean they abandoned the physical retail. They also shopped physical retail, and they also shopped at Myntra, Flipkart and Amazon. There are a lot of overlapping brands which are available in both the segments. So both coexisted. Just that having e-commerce entry into Indian market has opened up the market even faster. The organized retail was still nudging at 20-22%. With e-commerce happening, it came into 30s. So the annual growth increased, the organized retail penetration also increased. So that's how the e-commerce became very common. How to counter that by the physical retail? They started their omni-channel versions. Each one, like Arvind now has started with their e-commerce, which also lends itself to omni-channel.
Correct.
Landmark had their own omni-channel version in e-commerce. Then Madura, everybody started their omni-channel version, having their physical retail, getting into the online space. Of course, the contribution of online contribution of physical retailers is still less, 5-6 single digit only. But then it gave a perception to the customer that we also do online. You can still shop our brands sitting at home. That is the purpose of it, not to dominate online retail, because you can never give the same experience like a Flipkart or Amazon, because they are a digital native. They have been built as a digital brand. So no way you can match it. Just that they ensure that by and large their customers are retained. Whereas the the Flipkart and Amazon and all opened up a new set of customers who are very accustomed to shopping, sitting in their office as well. So that's how the change happened.
So in fact, on this only, I have a very, I mean, I'm myself very curious. Going forward, I think as the younger generation, so there is our generation and the next generations who are used to shopping in stores. I still can't shop online for the life of me. I can't do it. But my children shop online. So as they grow, I don't really see them too interested in shopping offline. So I think there is a generational shift that is happening. And there are two other things which I'm seeing, which you mentioned. One is that existing physical retailers, they have gone online, and online is another channel for them. And also we are seeing now some of these online players are opening retail stores because they feel the need to be present in various locations as well. But the approach of both these companies are completely different. For the online guys treat this as a separate channel, and the physical retailers treat that as a separate channel, and they think these guys think online first, they think physical retail first. Where do you think this will end? I mean, where does this go in? Because is the customer still going to be very, are brands going to be that relevant, the existing brands that we have? Let's say 10, 15, 20 years down the line, or do they need to reinvent themselves as digitally native, or I mean, how does this go on? I know there are a lot of thoughts around this, converting into experience centers and all that, but I'm very curious to what your take on this is.
First of all, what I would like to say is that Indian market is big and is getting bigger. So it has room for all types of players. It can accommodate, provided each player makes sense to the set of consumers that brand is addressing to. So there is no issue of overcrowding. If you see the size of Indian retail market, it's close to around $800 billion. I'm talking about all product categories, from grocery to high-end durables, all that. This Indian retail market is set to double in the next 6 years. So from 800 billion, it's expected to go to $1,700 billion in the next 5-6 years. In this $800 billion, barely 30% is organized.
Okay.
So 25-30% is organized, 70% is still unorganized. So that is around $200 billion is the organized retail. In that $200 billion, barely 15% is apparel. So some $20-25 billion. In that $20 billion, barely 20% is online, which is $4 billion. So when you see current $4 billion of online apparel is a share of that 1.7 trillion retail market, 6 years, not far, 6 years down the line.
Correct.
So this kind of a scope of market penetration is attracting all types of players.
True.
There's room for physical retailers getting into omni-channel. There's room for e-commerce players playing the pure e-commerce game. And the new generation brands are all D2C brands. So they are taking the best of both. You have Mensa brands, Ace Turtle, All these brands are actually the professionals working in these brands were erstwhile e-commerce players or erstwhile branded players. So they know the game. They know that e-commerce is evolved. Around 200 million customers are daily browsing and shopping. I mean, even today, you should include people who buy food also, because if you are used to Swiggy, you can always go and buy in Amazon because the behavior is the same. So this 200 million base is where they are looking at, which is expected to double in the next 5-6 years. Now, this 200 million customers also buy physical, they also buy online. And as you rightly said, the younger generation of this 200 million are now more prone to buying online because they are ordering multiple products. They buy mobile online, they order food online. I don't see why they don't see anything unusual in also getting into the apparel site and ordering online, because everything else they are ordering online. They are digital natives. On the other side of the spectrum, there are customers who are used to physical, who want to continue to do physical, but they want the convenience of occasional online. That's why omni-channel is there.
Correct.
So all the spectrum is there. Now, this D2C is the next breed of brands that is coming. Once the physical retailers are more or less set with their omni-channel network, and once the e-commerce platforms are set more or less with Amazon, Flipkart, and of course AGO, which over the past 3 years have built very well their platform. So the big three is these three. And of course, there is Tata Click. So all these four platforms are propagating the e-commerce behavior as platforms. The branded apparel players are propagating their omni-channel branding. So now the D2C brands are using both the trends and launching their digital first brands, which are essentially covering niches. Each product category, they are finding niches, finding unmet needs of the customer, because these two platforms and omni-channel branded players can only address the mass trends. They cannot address the niche trends. It's very inefficient for them to get down to the niches. That is where the D2C brands see an opportunity, because through a D2C, when you have 200 million customers and people are ready to buy more fashion and conversion is happening from unorganized to organized, D2C brands see an opportunity of tracking those niches, because they have a way of checking with the customers quickly what is getting accepted, what is not getting accepted, and quickly fine tune the product. They have ways and means of building community with all the Instagram and other social media influencers network they have. So they are able to quickly build certain threshold cohorts and address their specific needs to innovative styling, innovative fashion, innovative products, which cannot be easily catered to by the other two groups. And that I see as a big trend. Over the next 10 years, I see D2C as the biggest gainer in terms of cumulative growth. CAGR is going to be very high. It will add further to the conversion from unorganized to organized. And all will coexist. The branded apparel players and the branded retail players will keep growing. The e-commerce platforms will keep growing. And the D2C segment also will keep growing, because finally the conversion from unorganized to organized will take another 2 decades for India to really reach a saturation.
I see the point, and I completely agree. So, for everybody there, for the next 20 years, don't worry. Everybody's business is safe. Just do it right.
So you have to get your customer base clearly understood, and keep addressing them superior to others. So basically, you have to be hands-on and keep evolving based on the changing customer needs. The market is there.
No, I think this is very good. So the other very interesting facet which comes to mind, you've been in Peter England building a brand in a certain segment. In the same segment, you went and built a retail chain as well, which is Max, right? So what is how does a brand strategize to differentiate itself from a pure retailer, and how does that work? I mean, how does a what should I say, a value brand differentiate itself from a value retailer?
First thing is, in any category or any industry, timing gives you 50% lift.
Okay.
For instance, when Peter England's launched, the time was very ripe, late 90s, when premium branded apparel were settling down. And in the value segment, there's only unorganized players.
Correct.
Okay. And at the time, mass communication was still affordable. And in those days, multi-brands were really doing very well. That opportunity was encashed. As I told you, Peter England was model FM in lines of FMCG, meaning mass communication, sharply priced product brand. It was launched as a shirt brand. It's a product brand. And focusing on the multi-brand outlet shop-in-shops as a primary way of selling. So that clicked because that was a branded apparel era where value, mid-price brand opportunity was available, and Peter England, Madura Garments was a prime mover to capture it. At that time, mall spaces were not available. So that is what I fortunately was associated with the brand, building it to become a largest menswear brand in that category. Similarly, when Max Fashion was launched, again, timing was very good because that is when malls started. When malls started, you can get 15,000 square feet space, quality space in a mall where customers normally come by themselves. You don't need to promote. In a branded apparel, you have to promote your customers to come. Whereas in a value fashion retail brand, you can't afford to promote because it's already sharply priced and there are a lot of costs of managing a large format. Malls help to bridge that gap. And mall growth and max fashion growth are actually in tandem. Along with the initial set of malls, max fashion grew. But one thing, we took care to not put all eggs in one basket. We had a formula of 2/3, 1/3. So every 2 stores we open in mall, we ensured one is opened in high street. Okay. By that time, high street also started getting organized. You could get a 10,000 square feet building in high street, which a branded apparel cannot afford. They won't take a 10,000 square feet building. So we found an opportunity of opening that. And standalone stores of Max had given two twin benefit. One is, of course, high street sales because customers are automatically coming to high street. They come and buy Max. Second thing is they are like brands. The logo value is high in a high street compared to a mall. Inside a mall is a logo. Correct. Brands cannot become a logo there. Of course, they'll add value, but finally, malls are the brands first. So we did this twin channel strategy. It worked. The standalones also worked and malls also worked. Standalone gave the branding and malls gave the traction. So that is how it worked. And it's all about timing. And early 2000 till date, predominant business was built with malls for Max.
That's very interesting. A little bit on product strategy, if I may, because since I've worked on both brands and this, and I've seen that typically the markups in retail are much lower than brands. So typically, if a T-shirt costs you, let's say 100, maybe a value brand would be, say, retailing it at 250 or 300. Vis-a-vis the same thing, if it was done by a brand, because the distribution costs are much higher, would be probably 400 rupees. And yet, while they're trying to get to the same customer, yet the brand needs to show more value in the product so that people go there rather than go to a retailer. So how do you think brands can actually work on this strategy? And a lot of our viewers are actually people from the industry hoping to start brands, etc. So I think they'll find this very interesting.
See, brands have to stick to their proposition, which means offering some innovation to the customer. Brands have to stick to a tight product category. They cannot go wide and keep innovating. Whereas retail is all about range. They have to give selection. Okay?
Wonderful.
And innovation is not their main driver. It is a range.
Correct.
When you give range, you have to give sharp pricing. When you give innovation, you can afford to price. So as a branded player, you should not get confused with the retail brand and start lowering the cost, then you will not invest in innovation. You have to invest in innovation and you should communicate those innovations. First of all, the innovation should be relevant. It can be a styling innovation, it can be a product innovation, it can be a functional, but innovation is the core. Of course, the fashionability is hygiene. You cannot give a product that is not fashionable. Beyond fashion, there has to be an innovation also inside it. Whereas in retail brand, there has to be a range and all of them should be fashionable. So that is how it is played. And branded apparel has to be priced more premium than a retail brand, and both will coexist because customers for certain special occasions they'll come for innovation, and for day-to-day wear they'll go for retail brand. So never one should get confused with each other. Stick to your proposition, stick to the what brand ethos you stand for, but deliver it so well that no other competition can outbeat you in your segment.
Well, this is amazing insight. Thank you. I have a few more
Yes.
questions. One is, now, of course, a lot of people are getting into retail. And one of the things I've noticed about our industry is that things we seem to have learned in the 90s and 2000s, but new companies that are coming up still seem to be struggling with issues that we would have solved at some point of time. So obviously those companies evolved, but newer companies don't have the understanding of that. So for new retailers, uh, two things. If people are just doing retail, what are the key matrices that that they need to be looking at to make sure that they are running their business profitably? So let's say if there were 3 or 4 key things that they need to ensure to make sure that their business runs profitably, what are those 3 or 4 things that the CEO or the owner of that business should really focus on?
First thing is you should not get either too much excited about the largeness of the market, nor getting overawed by the number of players competing. The market is very big, number of players also are many. What a CEO or founder CEO should do is first be clear on which segment he or she is going after. Is it a branded apparel segment or a retail brand segment? Is it omni-channel? Because pure physical retail is dead. There's no pure physical retail format only alive.
Correct.
It has to be an omni-channel brand. Either you are going to play omni-channel or you are going to go for a D2C. Similarly, nobody can launch a platform. Those 4 platforms are the ones
Correct.
which are going to continue. You cannot launch a 5th platform.
Correct.
Okay. So your choice between an omni-channel brand, which is physical retail dominant, backed by nice omni-channel experience, or a D2C brand, which is digital native, digital first, having certain presence offline for imagery. So that is how you should be clear on that. Over a period of time, it will evolve. Initially, you may start with a single digit omni-channel sales and suddenly it becomes 20-30% also. Similarly, in a D2C, you may have just 5-6% of offline sales, suddenly it became 20% also. You should allow it to evolve, but stay true to that category. D2C behavior vis-a-vis a omni-channel behavior, customer behavior, frequency of purchase, the expectation from the customer, how much you can deliver in terms of quality and speed, all that, or category requirements which you have to be met. Next is you have to do a clear market scanning. If you are, say, agreeing on a D2C, you are launching a D2C brand, then you should do a proper market scanning of what are the other D2C players doing, which product categories they are able to do well, not well. Through social media and those analytics, you can easily make out what are the unmet need. You can always quickly test some pilot runs, find out what niches are available, hone into the niches which are unmet, and then develop your product proposition to address that niche. One thing you should be clear is the niche is currently there to take your product for now. How big it can grow, you have to study. See whether that can be grown or that niche can be expanded. So there are tools to do that in understanding it. There are hypothesis testing tools. There are initial launch tools that can be done. And you can always either talk to the customers or even better, visit the customers in their homes, in their workspaces, see how they are using the product. Then understand their customer pain points, invest time in understanding the customer pain points, what their ambitions are, what their delights are. Then rework the product. It's I can say an agile method. Keep iterating, launch one range, learn, again come back to drawing board, relaunch, keep honing that niche till you reach certain threshold size. Once you reach a threshold size, then you decide how much of physical retail you want to add for image, how much of the other product categories you can do, and slowly build. If you are focused on your customer cohort and know the customer base so well, you will not go wrong. You will be able to grow steadily. Either a D2C launch or an omni-channel brand launch. Either opportunities are there.
Very, very interesting. Now, one of the things that retailers typically, and apparel may, most of the companies typically struggle with, is the first, full price sell-through.
Yeah.
So, a typical belief is that 50-55% if you achieve, you're doing very well, and then the rest goes into discounting. At least that's what the premium guys believe in. But where do you see this? I mean, what is a good number to be having as a full price sell-through?
See, there is in the market or in the industry a very distorted way of understanding the concept of sell-through. What is sell-through is not what is being sold. It is a factor of what remains unsold. Okay. Take a toothpaste. A toothpaste, typically the sell-through is 99%. A Colgate toothpaste, 200 gram, 100 gram, with certain shelf life, doesn't need discounting.
Correct.
It will sell. Okay. So when you are selling at 99% sell-through, you don't need to add too much of markups for discounting.
Correct.
Your normal cost of production per your normal margin and marketing, if you build, the so-called shrinkage cost, you add only little. That is one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum are perishables. Say certain vegetables and certain other things which has to be thrown at the end of the day. They have to be sold at the end of the day or thrown. So that cannot be carried next day. So there the markups required has to be adequate because you don't know how much is unsold. The more you are able to predict the sales, the less you need to mark up.
Correct.
Okay. Today, efficient grocers predict the consumption on weekday, weekend and all that, ensure the shrinkage is less. This is the other end of the spectrum. To me, apparel falls in between.
Okay.
And in that also, it is a large, what you call a stratified approach.
Okay.
Take the Zara. Zara's sell-throughs are in excess of 80%.
Okay.
It is not that their products are not their products are always getting sold. They factor all that. Accordingly, they'll determine the depth, determine the width, and then introduce. So the sell-through is pre-designed by them so that it should not have leftover stocks of more than 10-15%. That's how it is designed. Similarly, if you take even in Max Fashion, how we designed, we said the sell-through has to be 85%, 88%. We cannot have more than 10-12% unsold. Okay. So we changed the whole organization thinking to that. We have told the designers that what you produce, what is being conceived, has to sell 8 to 9 out of 10. Okay. If you simply give a white shirt, it will not sell 8. Correct. At the same time, you give an outrageous color, it will not sell 8. Correct. So you decide how much combination of fashion and basics to be done. Basic plus, because basic is a different track. The basic plus and fashion, how much to do so that you sell that 80, 85, 90%. Okay. And accordingly, you play the game with calibrated risk. Not taking risk, you will not sell. Taking too much risk, you will have leftover. So how we do it is we link the actual daily sell-through information right up to the buyer and designer. So every buyer and designer knows what happened to yesterday's sales. So the moment they know, and it is by the market, so they know this is how the behavior is. So quickly they change their mix, saying if this is if these kind of colors and styles are selling well here, let me produce more. If these kinds of styles and colors are not selling well, let me produce less, and align it to the production system. So then the production also should be agile. So they should be able to keep most of it in fabric form and alter it. To me, agile is the only route to do the sale. And this is better done in a retail brand format because you control the last mile.
Yes.
In a branded apparel, why they have to discount more is because they don't control the direct channel. It's a third party, and the information flow from a third party multi-brand or retail to the buyer is very long and slow. So because it is long and slow, they have to pad up and do the discounting. It is more a situation of inability to read the market that determines the discounting, not because the brand wants certain discount.
This is very, very interesting. You touched upon a very interesting aspect, which is keeping an agile supply chain.
Yes, yes.
So, and this is something that at least I have seen is not very well understood in the industry. Eventually, what happens is orders get given, and somehow the backend is supposed to deliver. And the way I've seen evolution of technology also is that from warehouse onwards, which is the last mile technology, is very well evolved. You have Amazon, so on and so forth, and they, in fact, now they'll probably fry goods in drones and all that. But how do the goods get to the warehouse is not very evolved technologically. There is very little control. There are too many stops. So how did you build, or what would you propose that somebody do to build a very, agile system, but keep it also very reliable, which means consistency of delivery should be on time, should be there. So how do you build that?
Yeah. See, in Max, 100% of the production is through outsourced vendors because we don't have any in-house production. What we did is we went into strategic partnerships. We have top 100 vendors, and in each product category, 4 to 5 vendors. And we shared the sales information.
Okay.
What is selling, what is not selling. And also made them stock certain fabric and gave them assurance that if it is a basic plus, it is only 3 of you are going to finish the order. Please be ready, capacity and capability to replenish. And buying is the core in Max. So the buyers take all decisions, including sourcing. Sourcing, buying is all bundled into one.
That makes sense.
Yes. So quickly, and they have direct connection to the retail
there are no
sales.
silos at all.
Yes. Direct connection to the sell-through happening in the floor. So when they see the sell-throughs, the buying and sourcing team, it's a combined buying, sourcing, merchandise, one team. There are specialist sourcing members under the buying team, but it's all one bundle. So the chief buyer takes the call, and the chief buyer directly contacts the vendors and places the order. And there are certain flexibilities given on order placing. We don't keep too much of what you call processes for quick change of order. Like finance and all have got a collaborative agreement with the buyer that up to certain monies, it is a quick channel of buying. So the flow between the buyer and vendor, information flow and product flow is very fast.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
So the OTBs don't actually stop the work.
No, the OTBs are made flexible to suit the demand, and certain wrong calls taken. It happens. Then that is accepted by the buyer and it is projected to the senior leadership, and those are all absorbed by the leadership. That is not used to stop the buyer's next lot of purchase. Then figuring out on the wrong call separately is a what you call different topic that cannot stop the next order, which is so much required to fill up the counter.
This is very interesting. So what we're saying is really that how good you are as a buyer or as a business, it eventually depends on how few errors you make.
A few mistakes. There's no question.
And the more they keep doing it, the faster they learn and the faster they're able to react.
Correct.
So experience becomes very
much
important.
And there, the stable leadership team is so important. Like the tenure of buyers in Max Fashion goes beyond 10, 12, 15 years. So you have to have the chief buyer continuing there. Then only you will be able to get it. If there is changes there, the whole channel gets cut.
This is absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
I don't know. If people are listening, please, these are absolutely golden tips.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever tell you this.
Yes.
This is amazing insight.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So chief buyer is so important.
Yeah,
get that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, slightly going off, I mean, I remember, so design also works with the buying team.
So there is a dotted line between designer and buyer. Designers are given independence because they have to push the edge. They have been told to push the edge, but with certain limits.
If it's only left to the buyer, then you'll only get standard products.
Buyer becomes too commercial, it conflicts. At the same time, the accountability of the sales still rests with the buyer. So there is a healthy coordination between a design and buying. And design is evaluated on design sell-through.
Okay.
It's a different parameter.
Okay.
Buyer is evaluated on the total merchandise sell-through. So there is a little subtle difference. There's overlap. So the designer ensures that less number of designs fail.
Okay.
Buyer ensures less quantities of merchandise get stuck. So little different dimension were put as performance metric.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
But performance metric is so important. When you push accountability to the team members, each member should be given meaningful metric. You cannot put profit as a metric for everybody. It doesn't happen. So we had developed mid metrics like a design sell-through or a store sell-through. For retail, store manager, store sell-through is one of the parameters.
Okay.
So if something is not selling, it is the job of the store manager to reflect it back, saying this is not selling much, so produce and give me less. So they are party to the sell-through happening on the floor, even though they have nothing to do with the buying and merchandising. But they can move stocks, re-merchandise stocks. They can influence the sales.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, that's how we did.
And so everybody has their KPIs like this, but it's all
converging to
a single
KPI. Store sell-through, product sell-through, design sell-through, all converging to business.
So how many years did it take from the time you started to really get this whole thing going?
It's a marathon effort. First 5 years of Max was under losses. So slowly we perfected it. From the 6th year, the real hockey stick happened. Because by then, all those number of stores became 50. Learning became much better. The buyers also started synchronizing better. Design also kicked in well. Retail stores became more efficient. So all this happened by 5 years. It took 5 years.
So as we were discussing on the supply chain side, there is where do you see technology kind of coming into play? You've done it at a time when it was all Excel sheets and emails, etc. Now obviously there are connected networks and all. How do you think technology can really play and make a difference to the supply chain side of the thing? And the second question I have on this is, and I've always wondered this, it's a slightly non-tech related question, but the thing is, a lot of business teams, particularly sourcing teams, etc., focus on trying to get the lower cost rather than making sure the goods always land up on time. So sometimes they will delay goods just to get that extra 5 paisa. But where do you see is the real value unlock? Is it saving that 2 rupees but getting goods late? Or is it making sure goods come on time because that then adds to your sale? And the second question is obviously, how do you think tech kind of enables this whole process of agile backend, etc.?
The first question is very simple. Actually, you're talking about margin management.
Yes.
It depends upon the metric you make the manager deliver. Either you can make the manager focus on a narrow margin metric, which is when all these suboptimal decisions get taken.
Correct.
Or make the manager deliver the overall profit metric, which is the what you call product EBITDA or a store EBITDA for the full year. Depends upon what metric you're asking. If you're asking the latter, which means deliver the product EBITDA, it's a simple mathematics. The percentage margin in each batch into the velocity of the product.
Correct.
So if you are making say 40% margin in a product with a velocity of say 6, you're actually making 240% for the year.
Correct.
If you are reducing the velocity from 6 turns to 3 tons.
Hmm.
Even 60% margin you cannot match.
Yeah.
So the buyer decides if certain product flows fast. They're ready to go for a sharper price, ready to get the vendors, ready to pay vendors little more, get it fast so that they can rotate fast. Okay. And since they are evaluated on the product EBITDA for the year, they are encouraged to do it. And margin negotiations within the band, the buyers are allowed by the finance department. Because the finance department is not seeing the margin, they'll see the velocity. Even the finance department has to look at the product EBITDA and then give the final go ahead. So then everybody works on a product EBITDA. And when we also calculate, we also see vendor sell through. That's another thing. This vendor's product, is it selling fast? If this vendor is selling fast, he gets a green channel.
Okay.
He gets an upcharge and he delivers. So even vendor level sell through is tracked.
So you incentivize vendors as well?
Yes.
How? I mean, it took you 5 or how many years did it take you to
all this happened in 5 years.
My goodness.
Certain vendors, green channel, right from production to warehouse to store, it goes straight.
Okay.
Because that signature sells.
No, this is amazing.
Yeah. So that is on the sell through part. Tech part, while I was mostly in the physical retail and omni era, it's not that technology is less. And Landmark Group is one of the big investors in technology.
Okay.
At Max, we are one of the pioneers in investing in this software tool called Symphony, the Goldrat system, wherein we wired our core and one-ups into this system and told the buyers to allow this system through pull, no push. So we allowed pull system, don't overload the fixtures, don't starve the fixtures. So it is a pull which was put in place, pull system from the store to the warehouse.
Availability became the main matrix.
And those were linked to the vendors.
Okay.
So that's what. In fact, when I was mentoring EasyBuy, 100% we went through this Symphony software, 100%, including the category fashion. Because there's no high fashion in this, it's category fashion.
It's all basically basic and basic plus.
Correct. And it is done up to, and the way you configure also is important. Just by connecting is not going to help. You have to see customers, how they buy. There is difference between a pastel check and a medium check and a dark check. There's a difference between certain sleeves, styles, and certain lengths. So you have to wire the right attributes into the software. Then only you get the right output.
Absolutely.
So there again, a lot of work was done into connecting the right attribute to the software, and right up to the vendor, it has to be connected. So we know which style, which vendor is doing, and there it needs certain stable set of vendors to do. Then only the whole thing will work.
Absolutely. And so which year did you do Goldrat?
Goldrat for Max, we did it in 2014 to 16. By then we have evolved in size. 14 to 16. EasyBuy, we then followed it up between 16 and 18. So we had like the Excel sheets you said. In planning is all about Excel sheets in my era, but we upgraded to a platform, board platform, which actually is a turbocharged platform where the same Excel sheets, integration is better, it goes faster. What you take 5-6 hours to calculate, it will do in 5-6 minutes. So we used at the back end. Of course, we had ERP, Oracle ERP, all that back end also was wired from store to warehouse. Store to warehouse, fairly robust system. Bulk of the issues is from warehouse to vendor and back.
That
is where all these softwares were used.
Yeah. That is the big issue. Really.
One reason is stores are fixed, warehouse is fixed. So it's easy to wire. If you don't have stable set of vendors and they keep changing, you have a problem.
Very true.
That's why stable set of vendors, you can wire them equally. And what is Toyota doing? Same thing. Toyota vendors are there for 30 years, 40 years, and they give the best product, latest, just in time. Because they collaborate. And principles of apparel actually is drawn from automobile. Toyota kind of system.
This is very intriguing. It's very interesting to know that some of the things. I mean, you were first movers in many of these aspects. Yes. Companies are only now getting into these kind of things. Very interesting. So let me ask you, A final question. Now that this kind of innings you've already played,
Yes, yes.
and you're getting into the next innings of your life.
Yes,
So
yes.
tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and what is keeping you busy these days and charged up.
For me, I have traveled far from FMCG durable to branded apparel to value brand to retail brand to large format. Towards the end of my career, I was the managing director of lifestyle department store and home center. So I have traveled far, and my era is all about physical retail and followed by omni-channel retail. So that's how my career, what you call, came to a peak. And of course, like many others, time for me to step down because I have spent more than 3 decades in the industry. So I then stepped down from my full-time role. But I always want to contribute to the professional management, uh, be it in apparel or in branded sector or any other related industry, retail. So my what do you call dream is to continue contributing, but not in an executive capacity because beyond that certain stage, I mean, you have to sacrifice certain parts of your family to continue that, which I did not. I said at that time I have to give certain time to my family. That's why I stepped down. At the same time, I want to continue contributing by enabling future leaders. That's the step I have taken. By the time I stepped down, there were people who knew me in the industry. They approached me to help. So what I did is I converted all the wisdom learnings into a what I call as a strategic coaching methodology, helping the founder CEO to scale up. Because I have scaled up Peter England, I have built Max from scratch, scaled it up, and I also mentored Easy Buy. And I also have been an MD of Lifestyle where I have helped in putting certain profitable strategies in place. So, all this I have put down into a 4-part methodology of helping the startup company, helping the founder CEO to scale up in a structured manner. Normally, in startup, what happens? There's an incubation period wherein the founder CEO and the core team figures out their 4 Ps with all experimentations and all that, and then they finally settle down to a reasonable mix of 4 Ps, which they can scale up. It is at that stage my services will be of value because at that stage they have just broken even, but scaling up is mandatory because that's the way they can be in the market and also hold on to their talent. That is where I offer my services. Any founder CEO who wants to at that stage scale up 3x to 10x, these modules will be helpful. So I start first in a module of strategic clarity, helping the CEO to crystallize his or her thoughts on what is the value proposition of that brand or the company, what is standing for. What are the pain points that brand or the company is able to address well? What is the market environment in which the company is operating? I have tools like environment scan, SWOT analysis, value proposition canvas, business model canvas. These are all templates applied to make the CEO see what the company is standing for and make the CEO, founder, visualize what the company should be 3 years from now. The little bit of crystal gazing.
Absolutely.
So once the current position is clear and the future is clear, then there's a roadmap which I help the CEO to formulate. How do we get there? So we agree on certain strategic initiatives. From here, from X to go to 3X or 10X. Okay. So this is completely done essentially with the founder CEO because it is he or she who has everything on his mind.
Absolutely.
No other team member can add much value.
Absolutely.
So that module is predominantly done with the CEO, founder CEO. Once done, then I take it to the next stage, which is the leadership team. The founder CEO will have maybe 3 to 6 member team. it is important that these 6 members or 3 members see the vision in the same frequency, same wavelength as that of a founder CEO. So I have certain tools, team business model and the team alignment mapping, leadership assessment. All these tools I apply and motivate and make the leaders, the CXOs, see the same vision. There will be certain conflicts. Some some leaders will have their own private agenda which conflicts with the company's vision. All of it will get ironed out with the assistance of the founder CEO. So the founder CEO plays a pivotal role in aligning the leaders.
Everybody into the
Yes.
same goal.
And each leader then signs off a 3-year roadmap of their function with company vision in mind. So there's a second module, which is the leadership alignment module. Once the leadership alignment happens, which means the CEO is aligned for the 3-year vision, his COOs are also aligned to the same vision, same goal, and they also agree on strategic direction and objectives. Once this is done, then I help them to cascade it down the organization to all the employees. They may have a 20-member, 40-member team. Every employee should also see the same vision, same mission, and then go after it. Because it's like what you call the 3-legged race. Imagine 50 people tied with one leg and they run.
Yeah.
That kind of complexity is there. If one of them trips, all the 50 drops out.
Yes.
So I ensure that all the employees align to that. How I do it is, every employee's roles are mapped with clear purpose. Why he or she is hired? What is the delivery which the company expects out of him or her? What are the key accountabilities? What are the responsibilities? How they need to collaborate with each other? How their deliveries are dovetailed into the functional delivery and functional delivery dovetailed to the company delivery. So the whole thing is drilled upwards from each employee.
This is really extensive.
Yes, it is, because that's how I had practiced it in my earlier thing.
But it's the only way to success, actually.
Yeah, and there are very established tools. I'm talking about tools which are 30-year-old. There are what you call HR tools, performance management tools, which are very well accepted in the market, which we have used. Those are the things which I use for that. And also nowadays, I'm also doing strategic coaching for a couple of SaaS companies. There, the traditional HR tools may not be that fast enough. So I use holocracy principles, where every employee takes accountability on his or her delivery, and they work as an autonomous manager delivering the results for the organization. So I recommend and I actively propagate behavior of autonomous organization. Everybody knows what they are doing. They are given full independence, and then they take it forward.
Very interesting.
So once you percolate down to each and every employee, then this set of employees have to own the company's vision, functional vision, mission, and their own, and then they go forward. So that is how it is done, and there are clear metrics which is agreed in conjunction with the CEO and the leadership team on measure of success. This metric is so important because metrics changes behavior or aligns the behavior. You have a diluted metric, performance won't happen. If you have a wrong metric, functional optimization will happen, conflicting with each other. Yeah, so all these metrics are also properly put in place. And once done, it doesn't mean it's going to get realized. What I recommend is, this system is allowed to run period of maybe 3 to 4 months. At the end of 3 to 4 months, I have a reflection and resets module, wherein I make the CXOs go back to drawing board, reflect on what has happened in terms of the realization of their strategic objectives, what didn't happen to the manner which they expected, and have a candid opinion on what didn't go well, and make them brainstorm and reset for the next period. So it's a cycle. Strategic clarity, followed by leadership alignment, followed by operating systems, finally evaluated through the reflect and reset module. This again comes back. Of course, the strategic clarity module need not be repeated, but the rest have to be repeated. They realign the leadership. Sometimes there is a misalignment at the leadership level, leading to poor deliveries. So the leaders have to realign.
So
then go into the operating system.
It's a constant cycle.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and this is what I also did as a CEO. So what I did, I just packaged it into a module, and what I did in a larger environment like Max Fashion or Lifestyle, I'm applying it to a smaller environment, which is a founder CEO who's right now on the cusp of scaling up.
No, I think this is very, very interesting, and I'm sure people will find this very, very useful when they,
Yes.
come and connect with you. In fact, check out his website. We'll be scrolling it on the screen, so you can go and see what Vasanth is doing these days. So thank you so much, Vasanth, for this amazing conversation. I think it's been very enriching, honestly speaking, and thank you so much. Do you think you would like to share anything else with the viewers?
No, in fact, for me, I again reiterate what I told that Indian market is one of the most vibrant market globally. The India is full of young population and high aspiration. Now, India literally is on a fast track now because you have uh, conversion from unorganized to organized happening in a huge way. It is backed by fundamental changes in the economy, huge infrastructure push which is being done by the government, lot of private players, private equity, venture capital fund, and other global funds investing in their own infrastructure growth, technology growth. The big five technology companies investing in India centric products and platforms. And then you have SaaS industry which is exploding. India is one of the big, what do you call, hub for SaaS industries. I also advise company Oker, which is a SaaS productivity tool company. I could see the amount of potential they are tapping on. QSR industry is exploding very well. So across not just apparel, in food industry, in SaaS industry, infrastructure, technology. So all of them are really growing well in India. So all a CEO has to be clear is: are we in the right space? Are we having our value proposition right? Are we getting our core team aligned to the company vision? Are every employee in his or her company fully engaged? And if those elements are put in place, making a brand do a 3x, 5x, 10x is not a big challenge at all. But it needs perseverance, patience, and consistency. I think that is important because having said all about the positive part of this growth, the negative part is even today, over 90% of startups fail. They fail because they miss out on one or more of these elements, or they suddenly lose track on the direction. And it is important that founder CEOs stay focused and keep at it. If that is so, surely they'll be able to succeed. And I once again thank Anindya for the Blue Byte initiative. It's a wonderful initiative, as I said. I am one of your audience. Regularly, I listen to your podcast. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vasanth. Thank you so much.